All right, guys. So as predicted, and this was an obvious prediction here, okay? So not really trying to brag about it, but the intolerant left has went on a crusade against the brave Tampa Bay Rays players who stood up for their beliefs by refusing to wear the pride patch during Pride Night at a Tampa Bay Rays game. Now, again, like I said at the time when this story first came out, I was like, pray for these guys, because these guys are going to get obliterated by the mainstream liberal media. They're going to be called homophobic, bigots, transphobic. They're going to be called all that, right? That is what's going to happen because it's so predictable. And I'm following up on this story because I want to talk about some of the things that these people are saying about these players, and I want to defend them because, quite honestly, guys, I'm getting sick and tired of this, right? I might actually end up saying some very controversial things because these people and their intolerance is starting to make me think that, you know what, maybe we should just start being intolerant, okay? Because there's a difference between acceptance and tolerance. You cannot force acceptance. And I'm sick and tired of people trying to do this, okay? And they're trying to frame standing up for your beliefs and not necessarily endorsing somebody's lifestyle as bigotry when that's just simply not the case. So with that being said, let's go ahead and play this clip from ESPN in which Sarah Spain, who I don't know anything about, this is the first time I've heard of this woman, she basically, again, went to call these Tampa Bay Rays players bigots for refusing to go along with wearing the LGBTQ patch. Take a look.
Tampa pitcher Jason Adam to the Tampa Bay Times. Hard decision because ultimately we all said we want them to know that they are welcome and loved here. But when we put it on our bodies, I think a lot of guys decided that it's just a lifestyle that maybe, not that they look down on or anything or differently, it's just that maybe we don't want to encourage we believe in Jesus who's encouraged us to live a lifestyle that would abstain from that behavior. Sarah Spain, how does that all come off to you?
Pride is about inclusion, so you don't love them and you don't welcome them if you're not willing to wear the patch. And calling it a lifestyle reveals to me that you've done not even a modicum of research or understanding on this topic, which is what tends to happen when a privileged class isn't affected by things. This is not just about baseball. That religious exemption BS, which is used in sport and otherwise, also allows for people to be denied health care, jobs, apartments, children, prescriptions, all sorts of rights. And so we have to stop tiptoeing around it because we're trying to protect people who are trying to be bigoted from asking for them to be exempt from it when the very people that they are bigoted against are suffering the consequences.
When you say trying to be bigoted,
they're trying to use religious exemptions to affect the opportunities, services, available resources for people who are LGBTQ+.
And a patch on the jersey in this way?
In the case of sport, no. In the case of sport, though, they're double talking if they're saying you're welcome while also saying that we don't encourage or we disagree with it, especially when there are devout people of every single religion that also welcome and are open to people who are born gay.
David Dennis Jr.
Guys, for the life of me, I really can't figure out what rights don't LGBTQ people have. I really don't understand. I don't get it. I really don't. Because I keep hearing this thing about how their rights are being taken away, or that, you know, these players, because they refuse to wear this patch, they're not welcoming LGBTQ people to the stadiums to watch the games. I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I think that LGBTQ people can freely come to the games whether or not these players wear these patches or not, right? Just because they don't wear this patch on one night, that's not discrimination or keeping anybody from coming to the games, right? Just because I don't necessarily agree with your lifestyle, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't want you to come to the games. Just like I may not necessarily agree with your religion, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want you to come to the game, right? Again, I find it fascinating how this logic is not applied to anything else except when it comes to this LGBTQ issue. Because I guarantee you, if the Tampa Bay Rays had a Christian fellowship night and they wore cross patches on their uniforms, right, in awareness for, you know, Christians, okay, and a player said, you know what, I'm Muslim or I'm Buddhist or I'm atheist or whatever, and I don't want to wear this because I don't believe in this religion, I guarantee you all these crusaders, right, these LGBTQ crusaders, I guarantee you, they would say, hey, you know what? These players have the right to refuse to wear crosses on their uniforms because they're not Christians, right? You shouldn't be forcing your religion on other people. But when it comes to their religion, though, because that's what it is at this point, it is a religion. That's what they're making it. They're like, no, you're forced to accept our religion, right? But again, they wouldn't apply that to anything else. And that's what I find to be just so fascinating about these conversations and the logic that has been put forth here from the left when it comes to bashing these players for simply just saying, hey, look, I'm not discriminating against anybody. I'm just not going to openly endorse something that is against my religion. I'm just not going to do it, right? So with that being said, that brings me to this story right here, which is a gay pro baseball player that lost it over the Rays refusing to wear the LGBTQ Pride Night logo. He basically makes the argument that they are using Jesus as an excuse to be homophobic, right? That's what he's saying. So let's read about this. Openly gay baseball player Bryan Ruby is outraged over some Tampa Bay Rays players' personal decision not to wear rainbow-colored logos on their uniform for Pride Night. In at least one case expressed for, quote, faith-based reasoning. Ruby, who has played in minor leagues but is reportedly taking June off, trashed the players in an interview with USA Today Sports, claiming their actions make other gay people feel like, quote, second-class citizens and are using Jesus to shield their homophobia. Incredible stuff, man. Absolutely incredible, right? You're homophobic if, you don't openly, worship at the altar of pride, right? Again, that is what's going on here. Quote, it always baffled me when gods use Jesus as the excuse to discriminate. Ruby told a news outlet, wasn't Jesus the guy who preached love thy neighbor? I just love how these people always try to use the Bible, right, to justify a lifestyle that is explicitly prohibited in the Bible. Now, there's a lot of, controversial and somewhat not clear things in the Bible about exactly what God wants, but it is very clear. God made it very clear. Again, at least the God of the Bible, that is, made it very clear how he feels about this lifestyle, okay? And let's not try to sugarcoat it. All you got to do is open up Leviticus. But let's be nice about it, because Jesus referenced Genesis in the definition of marriage, okay, a couple times in the Bible, right? In Mark chapter 10, verses 6 through 9, and in Matthew chapter 19, verse 4 through 6. Again, Jesus references Genesis, talks about how they're a man and woman, right? Male and female, and how they're going to be joined together as one, okay, in marriage, right? So, again, I love how these people love to try to use Jesus as a way to justify what they do, when I don't think that Jesus would have been cool with their lifestyle, right? I think that Jesus probably would have said, hey, look, I love you as a child of God, right? As somebody that is of the Lord's creation, but, I don't necessarily agree with your lifestyle. I don't think that Jesus would have been wearing pride patches, right? I just don't think that he would have, but who knows? Again, if you listen to these people, they make it sound like Jesus would have been LGBTQ friendly. But again, what do I know? Okay, they know better than I do, allegedly. Quote, this isn't about religion, he continued. This is about being a good teammate. When guys go out of their way to make a point of opposing Pride Night, they're sending a clear message that people like me just aren't welcome in baseball. It's a reminder that even on the one night we get to be proud of ourselves at the ballpark, we are still second-class citizens. It's as simple as that. Okay, so if pride is about being proud of yourself, why do you need somebody else to be proud of you? Wear your patch, right? Be proud of yourself and who you sleep with and be happy. Why do you need somebody else to support who you choose to sleep with? I don't understand. I don't get it. But see, it's not about being proud of themselves. That's not what it's about. It's about everybody else being forced to not be tolerant, okay, of their lifestyles, but to openly support their lifestyles. That's what they actually really want, okay? And this is what's really pissing me off about this, because it's at the point now where it's like, okay, you guys are now intolerant. You're the intolerant ones. Because these players, if they were opposed to Pride Night, let's just say they truly was opposed to it. Opposing Pride Night would be saying, well, look, I refuse to play, right? I'm not going to play, and I openly am against the Tampa Bay Rays having a Pride Night. That is opposition to Pride Night. They're not really opposed to it in the sense that they're openly protesting it or trying to stop it. They're just saying, look, I'm not going to come out here and support it, right? It's just not something that I believe in. It goes against my religious beliefs. But again, that tolerance there, which is what they're doing, they're being tolerant, not enough. Not enough, which is ultimately going to lead me to my point of this video that I'm going to get into in a little bit, but I want to read a little bit more here. Now, we already know what the Rays pitcher Jason Adams said about it being a faith-based decision, so I don't need to read that quote just for the sake of time. But let's talk about Ruby here, who continue. He says, quote, it sends a very clear message, and the message is LGBTQ people are not welcome here, he claimed. A lot of guys just don't get that they've always had and will continue to have gay teammates. Such antiquated language and behavior actively hurts the team. It's hard enough to be gay in baseball. Quote, I can't help but notice that for the 146th consecutive year, there are 0 openly gay players in Major League Baseball, Ruby added. And when your own teammates could publicly gesture that you don't belong there, it's damn near impossible to succeed in the sport. The athlete also took a swing at Rays management for suggesting no divide was brewing on the team. Quote, I wonder if Rays management would parrot their completely bogus message of supporting diversity and inclusion in the organization if Rays players flat out refused to wear number 42 on Jackie Robinson Day, Ruby said. Don't get me wrong, Pride Nights are great for the fan base and surrounding community, but they do very little to address the situation in the locker room. Okay, see, again, this is what I'm talking about. Rays are like, okay, we're going to have this Pride Night. We're going to do this, right? But we're going to let our players choose whether or not they really want to support it, right? And for whatever reason, that's not enough, right? That's still not enough. They're still critical of the Rays for this, right? Saying that, well, you know, if players refuse to wear the number 42 on Jackie Robinson Day, you know, obviously they wouldn't be okay with that. Well, I mean, look. That's not necessarily religious opposition. If they were opposed to wearing 42 on Jackie Robinson Day, look, yeah, it would raise a whole lot of questions. But at the same time, if somebody refused to wear it for whatever reason, am I going to sit here and boo-hoo and cry about it? No, I'm actually not going to boo-hoo and cry about it, okay? But again, this is a little bit different because this is religious opposition. Quote, when your teammates go out of the way to indicate they don't accept you, it can be absolutely crushing and obviously pretty damn hard to suit up and play well, he continued. What does it say to all the young minor leaguers dreaming of one day getting a shot in the big leagues? That's once you get there, you can live your dream, but only at the cost of hiding your authentic self from the world. It's both sad and infuriating to know most other guys like me are relegated to walking on eggshells in the shadow of a culture still eerily reminiscent of the don't ask, don't tell world we supposedly moved on from over a decade ago. Okay, so again, here's the problem. This guy is trying to frame these players not wanting to wear these pride patches as, well, they don't accept me. They're not accepting of me. And it's like, no. Everybody accepts you as a person. They just don't support your lifestyle, right? There's a difference between saying, I don't support your lifestyle, okay? And saying, you know what, I just don't accept you, you know, as a person, as a human being. Those are two different things. Because, again, none of these players are saying LGBTQ people are not welcome to the games. They're not even saying LGBTQ people are not welcome into the locker room. Nobody's saying that. They're simply saying, I'm not going to come out here and say I support who you choose to sleep with. Same-sex relations. That's what they're saying. That is what they're saying. Because, again, I'm pretty sure each and every last one of us, even you guys watching videos, even those players, they have family members that are homosexual or whatever. And nobody, for the most part, I ain't gonna say it doesn't ever happen, but for the most part, most people like, okay, you know, I got this gay family member or whatever. I accept them. I love them. But I don't necessarily support their lifestyle. But hey, they're free to come to family events. They're free to be openly gay. They can bring their significant other. They can do whatever. But you're not going to see me sitting out here basically, you know, wearing pride patches and stuff like that. Like, again, I feel like there's nuance there. But the point of my video here, guys, is that, again, these players are being tolerant, okay? That's what they're doing. They're being tolerant. But their tolerance is being punished with intolerance from the mob. And is at the point there, guys, where I'm just like, okay, what is the point of being tolerant if you're still going to be framed as a bigot for being tolerant? So if being tolerant of something that you obviously don't agree with gets you nowhere, right? If you're still called a bigot or a homophobe for it, why not just be intolerant? Why not? Right? Is it time for conservatives and people who are religious in this country to start saying, you know what, we're tired of being tolerant. Let's start being intolerant, because that is what these people are being towards us. They're being intolerant. Why don't we be intolerant? Why don't we revisit gay marriage? Because it seems like this slippery slope has fell off a cliff. Let's be real. Because again, it started with gay marriage, which, I mean, I feel like even most people in this country now, they might not necessarily call it marriage. They might say, hey, you know what, it's a civil union. You know, if two people want to come together for the purpose of getting benefits from the government, tax benefits, you know what? I'm not opposed to it. I'm just not going to call it marriage. They want to have a civil union, fine. Okay? I think most people are on board with that. But it seems like ever since then, again, we fell off a cliff, and it's at the point now where you have teachers trying to decide what kids' gender should be. Right? That is how far we go. That's how far we fell off the cliff. And it seems like no matter how far we go, people that have been tolerant of this stuff are still going to be framed as bigots, even though we've been the most tolerant people in this society. But just because there's not a full-throated acceptance of it, again, you get flamed for it. So again, why even be tolerant? Because they don't have to be tolerant. What they're doing is bigotry against people who are religious, right? They're being intolerant against people who are religious. Because these players took a stance that, in my opinion, was the perfect middle ground. They didn't come out and openly oppose Pride Night. They didn't say LGBTQ people aren't welcome, or I don't want their money, or whatever. He's not saying they can't participate or be included. They're just simply saying, look, I'm not going to come out here and say I support their lifestyle. Again, that's the perfect middle ground. But these people on the left, they don't want to meet in the middle. They want 100% acceptance and support, right? They want you to come out and say, I love the fact that you sleep with people of the same sex. And if you don't say that, then you're a bigot. You're homophobe. You're transphobic. So again, why even try to be tolerant of it anymore? Because tolerance doesn't seem to be working. Tolerance seems to be still getting us called names and characterized as things that we're not. When LGBTQ people have more rights and opportunities in the United States than almost any other country on earth. Because of who? Because of tolerant and accepting Christians. That's why. But again, those tolerant and accepting Christians are being flamed because, again, they're not fully endorsing the lifestyle. So again, you're still being called names for it. Nothing is never enough for these people. They will continue to get more extreme and extreme and extreme. And it's like, okay, well, at some point, this has to stop, right? The extremism has to stop because we have truly fell off a cliff in this country. We really have. We really have. It's at the point, I don't know what else to say. It's like, again, being tolerant and you know, welcoming people and saying, hey, you know what, I might not agree with your lifestyle, but I'll hang out with you. I'll be your friend. I'll have a beer with you. I'll talk to you. I'll treat you the same as I treat everybody else. I don't want to discriminate against you. Apparently, again, that's not enough, right? It's not enough. So again, it seems to me nothing will ever be enough. At some point, you will be forced to be LGBTQ, right? If you're not LGBTQ, then you're a bigot, right? That it will get to that point. I promise you. I promise you, right? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.